Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to be looking at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Kryptonite Doomsday. This is a Megafigure, and this one came out by himself. Usually they're in pairs of two, but not this time. Now, this is going to reuse a lot of parts from Devastator and the previous Doomsday, but also has a lot of new parts and some glow-in-the-dark features. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see, here's the figure. He doesn't have any traditional accessories, just a display stand and collector's card. DC Multiverse, Kryptonite, Doomsday. One side of the package, Kryptonite Doomsday from Superman Batman. Other side says Kryptonite Doomsday. At the bottom, we have his barcode, if that helps anybody. And in the back, here he is posed up holding Superman's cape, as well as Batman's cowl. So with no further ado, let's open him up. Alright. Now that this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He doesn't come with any traditional accessories, but he has a display stand and a collector's card. Before we take a look at that, let's talk about and check out the figure. So this is Kryptonite Doomsday, the most recent Megafigure. He has glow-in-the-dark features. Now, his real name is Joshua Walker. This is not the actual Doomsday, but he volunteered for Amanda Waller's Last Line experimental program, and using Kryptonite as a bonding agent, Joshua's DNA was intertwined with Doomsday's, mutating him into an unstoppable monster. Dubbed the All-American Boy, that is the origin of Kryptonite Doomsday. Probably my action figure world, I'm trying to use this as a slightly altered version of Doomsday, but it's technically a completely different character. And it's from the Superman Batman comic series. That being said, let's take a look. So, starting with his face here, he looks like a freaking predator. Look at the dreadlocks hanging down. He's got this sort of logo on his forehead there. His mouth looks like has kryptonite teeth. All the different kryptonite pieces are going to be glow in the dark, and that's a really cool feature for this guy. I can definitely see hints of both Devastator and the previous Doomsday, but we'll check that out in detail later in the video. Looks like we have single jointed elbows, single jointed knees. The texturing is nice on his shorts. The texturing is also very nice on his body. You can see all the different spikes, different paint job, pieces of the ripped fabric on his shirt, and they actually match his shorts this time. Some sort of combat boots. As a whole, it's a good looking figure. I mean, look at all that detail over the guy. Although I prefer a more traditional looking Doomsday, this guy, he could go on my Superman villain shelf, and hell, he could even go on my Predator shelf. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt, which I think is very nice. Look at the teeth, look at the dreads, look at all the sculpting detail on his head, the texturing and spikes and stuff. Very well done. An alternate version of Doomsday, another threat for the Justice League and Superman. Now let's check out his accessories. They're both pretty boring. We have this display stand. It's a black circle, very thin, very basic. We also have his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of Doomsday's fist. He's got the kryptonite spikes, and he's holding Superman's cape and Batman's cowl. Kryptonite Doomsday from Superman and Batman. On the back, there is a description. If you want to read that, pause now. Now I wanted to check out his glow-in-the-dark features. I have this blacklight flashlight that does a great job charging up glow-in-the-dark figures. Here's Doomsday just standing there. Take this blacklight flashlight, shine it on him, and you can see what a difference it makes right away. It looks kind of weird on screen, but it looks absolutely fantastic in person. Here's Doomsday in a fully lit room, glowing in the dark, but you can barely tell. And here he is in a semi-lit room glowing in the dark. And here, in a completely dark room with his glow-in-the-dark features. Now I wanted to check out the differences and reuse between this Kryptonite Doomsday and the Superman vs. Doomsday 2-pack version. And they're essentially the same figure, just a different paint job and the glow-in-the-dark features. So let's take a look. Obviously their heads are completely different, from the hair to the face, whole 9 yards. The spikes are exactly the same on his shoulders, the chest is the same. Literally everything is the same besides the head, except for the glow-in-the-dark and paint features. Pretty much exact same figure. Considering they're not the same Doomsday, it's a little bit too much reuse, but it works. And some of his parts go back to the Devastator. This is McFarlane's first Doomsday type figure. Obviously their heads are different. The spikes on the neck are different. The chest area is different. The stomach area is the same. The arms are the same. You can see the same fabric here. The spikes are a little bit different here. They're the same on the hands. And then I believe there's no reuse from the waist down. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his lack of accessories, let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing at about 9.25 inches tall, which can translate to 23.5 centimeters. And now for his articulation. Starting with his head, of course, it can rotate from side to side, but not very much. It can only turn about this much. It can look up and down. Well, up really not at all, down a lot. He can only look forward, not up, and he can barely turn his head from side to side. Between the hair and the spikes, it's very obstructed. He can tilt his head the tiniest bit from side to side. Shoulders on a ball joint only goes out about this far. Kind of disappointing there. The spikes are just not letting it do much. Can go all the way up. He does have this butterfly ring between his shoulder and chest area, increasing the range of motion and covering the large gap. He's got a single jointed elbow, and it really doesn't have much articulation either. It does have rotation, but man, he's very limited. His wrist can rotate, and it is hinged as well. In his torso, he's got a ball joint, rotate around, forward and back. Another one is waist. Rotate around, forward and back. Between the two, pretty good range of motion in the torso area. Surprisingly good considering how limited everything else here is. Legs, completely does the splits. McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation is pretty good on him. Legs go forward. I don't know, about that much. Then his knees, they go back about that far, less than 90 degrees. Once again with rotation. And then his ankles, forward and back. Tilt rock. No traditional rotation there, and no toe articulation. I also wanted to add that this guy, like the previous Doomsday and Devastator, has jaw articulation. He is a little bit smaller, but it's still really cool. I'm always a fan when figures have that sort of stuff. Here's Superman taking on Doomsday in the streets of Metropolis. Doomsday gets the upper hand, is about to kill Superman, and that's just what Doomsday does. Delivers a killing blow on top of Superman. And that may have taken care of the death of Superman. In this image here, this takes care of the return of Superman when he comes back and defeats Doomsday. Years later, Amanda Waller has created her version of the Doomsday, the Kryptonite Doomsday. Here he is, taking on and defeating Batman and Superman. And a closer look at his face, glowing in the dark. That looks sick. Now let's check him out. Next to some other action figures, starting off with some other Doomsday figures. Here's this Kryptonite Doomsday, next to the previous McFarlane Doomsday figure, and there are many other versions of Doomsday they could potentially make. And here he is, next to McFarlane's Devastator. Devastator is not exactly Doomsday, he's sort of a Doomsday Batman hybrid from the Dark Multiverse. McFarlane released two different versions of Devastator. The darker one is a single release, and the lighter one is from the Devastator vs. Doomsday 2-pack. Here he is, next to all of my Mattel Doomsday figures. On the left, we have Doomsday from Batman vs. Superman. This is actually part of the 12-inch scale line. Basic, crappy figures. This is really the only Batman vs. Superman Doomsday out there, and scale-wise, he's pretty nice and big, but he's just such a crappy figure. And on the right, a couple of other Mattel ones, I believe from the DC Multiverse line, and then the DC Universe Classics line. Here would be all of my different Doomsday and Doomsday type figures. The only one not Doomsday is Devastator, and he's partially Doomsday as well. Rumor is McFarlane's going to be releasing a Batman vs. Superman Megafigure Doomsday. I hope that actually comes true. Now let's check him out, next to a couple of larger Predator figures. Here he is, next to NECA's Ultimate, Deluxe, both armored and unarmored Assassin Predator from The Predator. And here he is, next to Stoneheart from Concrete Jungle. Now let's check him out, next to some other McFarlane DC Multiverse Mega figures. Here he is, next to the most recent Mega figure before Doomsday, and that's Kilowog from the Amazon exclusive 2-pack. Before that, they released the Sunken Citadel Pirate from Aquaman 2, and the Amazon exclusive glow-in-the-dark Titan Joker from Arkham Asylum. Before that, they released the Amazon exclusive glow-in-the-dark Swamp Thing, and also the Amazon exclusive Clayface from the Batman, Batwoman, and Clayface 3-pack. And before that was the last traditional wave of Megafigures. They used to come out in increments of 2, but they haven't done that in a while. This was Anti-Monitor and the Justice Buster. Now let's check them out. Next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the Collector's Edition Wave 4, Captain Boomerang, Penguin, and Starfire. Here's Doomsday, next to the Target exclusive Gold Label Cassandra Cain Batgirl and Rival. And here he is, next to the most recent Batman wave. We have both the red and Platinum Chase Blue Azrael and Batman armor, Black and Gray Nightfall Batman, and both the regular and Platinum Chase variants of Detective Comics 27 First Appearance Batman. Then, next to the JLA wave, Collective Build Plastic Man, we have both the blue and red Platinum Chase variants of Superman, 2 fully assembled Plastic Man figures, Black Suit Batman, regular and Platinum John Stewart Green Lantern, and regular and Platinum Aquaman. And now, with the most recent Page Puncher wave, Superman Ghost of Krypton, we have both the regular and Platinum Chase armored versions of Val Zod, Armored Superman, Ghost of General Zod, and both the regular and Platinum Brainiacs. And finally, next to the digital wave, we have the Silver Age Hal Jordan Green Lantern, DC Rebirth Batman, and DC Classics Aquaman. Now let's check them out, next to some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which ones you can mix them with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale, and even though this guy is over 9 inches tall, he's still part of a 7-inch scale action figure collection. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the large action figure lines I collect, and work way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. And now, with some Jakks-specific wrestling figures, and some DST or Diamond Select toys. Here's Doomsday, next to one of my cat's toys. And here he is, next to some DC Direct and NECA figures. Then, with both some Mattel and Jazzwares wrestling figures. And now, with some Mezco and Mattel DC figures. Next, with some Mafex and Hasbro Marvel Legends. And finally, next to some SH Figure Arts and some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, this is a pretty cool Doomsday figure. It is 95% reused from the previous Doomsday, but it still looks pretty cool. Now it is a completely different Doomsday character, so in theory, they could interact with each other and exist at the same time. I think this one looks really cool. The glow-in-the-dark features are fantastic, and I kind of like the dreads. I like the Predator look for him. I'm not familiar with the storyline he's from, but it makes for a good figure and you can use for an alternate Doomsday, or just a variation of the original Doomsday. His sculpt and paint job are excellent. No issues there. The texturing is fantastic. Glow-in-the-dark features are good. Accessories are non-existent. Articulation is rather limited, and that is definitely a drawback. If I were to rate this figure, probably give him like a 6.5 out of 10. Even with his limited articulation, I still really enjoy the figure. Glow-in-the-dark features are really impressive if you get it done right. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it in the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.